Joe Biden is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. 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 Party with Beyonce. Beyonce.
Guys, it's Friday, November 8th. I'm your friend here, Gabe Taib. I just have to keep playing that song every time I come on here. It makes me laugh so hard. The way the president-elect says, Beyonce, it's very good. Guys, I have an amazing guest here. One of my oldest friends in comics, salt of the earth, a great guy. Forget comics, how great he is. He's an Eisner winner, one of the best writers to ever do this. But he plucked me from a comic book store in Fort Collins, Colorado, gave me my first job drawing a book for Image Comics 20 years ago, the detonator at Image Comics. Here he is, the man that defined the Punisher along with Chuck Dixon. Nexus with Steve Rude, Deadman, The Flash. It's Mike Barron. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Gabe.
How's Colorado? It's great weather here in San Diego. It's always like 67. So
snowing right now.
I miss the snow a little bit, you know, so. I like the way it snows in the Front Range. Those of you who don't know, I went to college and lived over in Colorado from 2000 to 2008. And I lived by Mike, about 45 minutes away. We met at the comic book store we go to. And when it snows in Colorado, it's big snow, and then it's gone in a day or two. Then you have blue skies again. And
it's melting nice. Already.
It's nice. So let me ask you, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into some amazing book with a gorgeous cover. Some genius did the cover for this book, right?
Richard Bonk, our resident genius.
Right. Well, I mean, the drawing is outstanding. I would say the coloring is just out of this world.
We got a young colorist who'd never been tried before. We took a chance on him, and he just came through with blazing colors.
Some young buck named Gabe, I heard. He's just an outrageously good colorist. And, he had a great time working on this. I am such a fan of Sherlock Holmes. I've read every single Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes, and then I've done a bunch of the modern ones. Are you a big fan of Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, of course. Of course, you have to be to write this story. I mean, if you're not familiar with the canon and the character, why do it? Right. Sherlock Holmes is probably the most popular fictional character on Earth.
Right. It's been adapted into so many movies and TV shows and books and comics. And a lot of it is in the public domain. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. So that's just truly awesome. Before we get to this, though, I'm going to take a step backwards. Tuesday was one of the greatest days in recent American history. And welcome in everybody in the chat, by the way. Mark's Music Obsession, The Mob Seed, Timmy Mello, Devil Flyer. Guys, hit the like and share this out. We got to talk about the great Mike Barron. We got to promote his book. But I am so happy with what happened on Tuesday. The last 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration was just terrible for this country, with the border and the economy and all the money going out the door to these stupid, pointless wars, everything, and the woke shit getting out of control. I saw a thing, Mike said, statistically, my generation, people 45 to 64, voted for Trump at a higher percentage per capita than any other generation. And I have a theory that we, people in my age, who were kids in the 80s, you were an adult, we were kids in the 80s, and we had all the amazing stuff. We had Rambo, Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. We had the Saturday morning cartoons, Transformers. The Nintendo debuted in 1985. We had the best American childhood possible because we had all the values and patriotism of the post-World War II Americana, but we also had burgeoning technology, video games, a little bit of computers. We had the best of modernity and the best of tradition, and it was right there, left wing and right wing. Everybody loved America. Racism seemed pretty solved. The Cosby Show's a #1 show. I grew up in Southern California. Nobody cared what race anyone was. And I think Gen X, we are the main people. If you look at Nerdrotic, you look at all those huge social commentary guys, we're pissed that they're taking all our Star Wars, all our stuff, and ruining it because we enjoyed it. We remember how great it was. You were an adult in the 80s, but you remember how great it was. And my entire point of this question, before we get to Sherlock Holmes, is, do you think woke is dead when you see Trump with a landslide, a mandate, the House, the Senate, the Electoral College, and everyone's making fun of woke? I wear this hat to the grocery store. Nobody tells me boo. I think woke is dead and there's no more hiding. And we all just found out we outnumber these weirdos 10-1. And I think 80s style entertainment, Back to the Future, all of it, no agenda, just entertainment is back. Do you agree or disagree? You're older, you're wiser, you've seen a lot more. Do you agree with my premise that the 80s are going to come back? That kind of.
Well, first of all, I got to say thank God for the results of the recent election. I was hoping this would happen, but it exceeded even my expectations. And the reason, of course, is that the vast majority of American people looked at our government and judged that it was evil. And now we're on the right foot, and hopefully we'll remain that way for a long time. Is woke dead? No, because these people are narcissists and they're mentally ill and they're immature. The
Right.
problem does not lie in colonialism, sexism, or racism. The problem lies in the howling void in their own souls, and that's never going to go away. So they'll always be with us, but hopefully they'll be squeezed back into their dark little corners now for the time being, and let normal people take over.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yes, they're always going to be there. I agree with you 100%. But I think the fear that most conservatives have, because the last 4 years I worked at DC Comics, I didn't say anything. I never said anything political because I knew better, but I really didn't say anything after Trump won the first time because I knew that would be curtains. I knew that would be, and they don't.
Unfortunately, you're right. I've been blacklisted. Chuck's been blacklisted.
Right.
A whole bunch of us have been blacklisted.
Right. And they it's against the law, definitely in California. That's CS 1001 and 1002. They're very short laws. They're like 2 sentences long. They go all the way back to the 1930s in California, and they say you can't lose your employment because of your political speech, affiliations, or activities in or out of the workplace. So what DC Comics, wants to do to people like me and all that, and Marvel Comics wants it's against the law. But here's how they get away with it: you finish your current project, and then they just don't email you. And we just don't have anything right now. Check back, and they play that game where you're fired, but they never say it. You know what I mean? And how would you ever prove that in court? There's no way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because that's what happened to you, right? The phone just kind of stopped ringing because you voted for Bush or whatever.
That's happened a long time ago. I really don't blame anyone on my dropping out of the system. I blame myself. I didn't understand how to sustain a career. And I went through a very difficult period, as you know. I went for 10 years where I couldn't find any writing work.
Right.
I took a job as a janitor. I ended up moving out here to Colorado for reasons that you know. And but in the end, it was all for the best. I can't figure out how. But as you would say, God has a plan.
Always.
And I came out of this dark tunnel with a crystal clear vision of what I wanted to do and what constitutes story. And once you understand what constitutes story, you don't make a wrong turn. You don't write something and say, oh, I don't know if this is any good. Would you read it for me, please? That doesn't happen. And the results bear me out. I've never been busier in my life, and I'm turning out the best material in my life.
Right. Yeah, we worked on a lot of stuff together 20 years ago. Can you believe that, dude? We worked on all that stuff for the educational company. We worked on Wheels, the comic strip for the bank. We worked on the Detonator. We worked on the Dangerous Dozen with the late great Norm Brufogel. Remember all that?
I remember Norm.
Yeah.
Norm
One of the greatest Batman artists of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's see. Gabe, could you give us a short bio on Mike for the newbies? Mike, do you want to give him the 45-second where the hell did the pride of Wisconsin, the pride of Milwaukee, where'd you come from, Mr.
Well,
Wisconsin?
it's a long story, but just to stick to the comic part, I broke into comics in 1981 when I met Steve Rude. He showed me his portfolio, and I said, dude, what do you want to do? He said, well, I want to do comics, but I can't write. What do you want to do? And we were just in the right place at the right time. Capital City Distribution, a huge multi-million-dollar multinational corporation, the second largest comic distributor in the world, was headquartered in Madison, and they decided they want to launch their own comic. Right. So they said they wanted a superhero. I went home. I brainstormed Nexus. I wrote the first 12 pages out by hand. I didn't write them. I drew them. And for 20 years, that's how I wrote comics. I drew every page out by hand. I'm not a great artist. I'm fighting fruit flies here. But I'm good enough so I can get my ideas across. And I would include all the dialogue and all the captions and whatever description you needed. for the artists. And artists and editors loved it because they could see the glance what I was doing. And it taught me so many valuable lessons. How much weight can a page maintain? When to go small, when to go big? How much dialogue should a character speak? And those lessons have stayed with me. My methods have changed. I now write full script. But for anybody who wants to break into comics, I would urge you to do that, to draw the page, draw a rectangle on a big pad, then draw the first panel. And then you fill that panel up with what you think belongs. And then you think about the next panel. What happens next? How can I sustain the story in an interesting way? Because the most important question in fiction is what happens next? If the reader doesn't care, he's not going to turn the page. And you learn how to grab the reader's attention, how to make him care. And there are a million ways. I'm just going to touch on 3. Number 1, fascinating character, Sherlock Holmes. Number 2, wait a minute. Fascinating situation, Jurassic Park. Number 3, a seductive narrative voice. That's more difficult to do in a comic than it is in pure prose, but it can be done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been a writer since you've known me too. I started writing in 2000 or 2000 at my university. Just started off doing a strip that was like Garfield, and it was called Higher Education. It was just a straight man and a funny guy, and they were frat boy kind of guys. But I'd been writing my whole life since I was a little boy, and I always liked to write, and I've gotten into it a lot. And you've kind of mentored me a little bit. I've sent you scripts over the year, and your input is some of the input I value most. And when you told me you loved Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, and Truth, Justice, American Way, that was a lot of great validation for me to get respect from an Eisner-winning writer like you. Because I've always thought I was a good writer, but I think everyone thinks they're a good writer while they're writing.
Well, no, that's not true, unfortunately, but we do, and that's good because we are good writers.
Yeah, and I just have a blast. And I always think of your mantra that you told me, the first goal is to entertain, not to moralize and tell people that they're racist, sexist, homophobes.
That's right.
Look how great I am for having the opinion that I accept the downtrodden. And Mike, did you know that I care about disabled people? Mike, did you know I care about women and gays? Like, fuck, we all care about people. You don't have to wave it in the air, you narcissist. So, but for those of you that want to see, Mike gave me my career like in mainstream comics by, I saw that he had a new book coming out from Image called The Detonator. And I went into the comic book store and I thought, well, I could probably color this book because he didn't have a colorist. So they were just putting flat colors in it. So I went home and drew a picture of the detonator and colored it. And I brought my laptop. This is 2004. And I showed it to you. And you said to me, I got a job for you. And I was kind of like, oh, wow, he's going to have me color it. But he said, you got to draw the next issue of the detonator. It's due in 3 weeks. So I'll show you. And this is, now don't laugh at me. This is a 20-year-old drawing.
Wow.
That's 20. I'm good now, And here are 2 pages from the detonator. And I helped create this character. He's an analog for sort of Captain America, but he uses like a fan. And it's this is the bald eagle, remember?
That's right. That's great, Gabe.
Look at that. I loved it. I think I got even though it's just 20-year-old art, I think that pose is pretty good where he's running.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's not bad. And then here's let's see. Here's another one when he's jumping off that shack where like the terrorists had their meeting in there. I don't know why they had a shack on the edge of a cliff. That's not very wise planning. But
to drop board down below to get picked up.
Right. Yeah. But this is 20-year-old art of mine. This is from, I'm looking at the date on my computer. This is from November of 2004. So it's November 2020. So we did this together 20 years ago. So I brought you this drawing, which is not good. This is not a great drawing. Bad colors. It's not horrible. It's better than,
It's better than some stuff we see from Marvel and DC these days.
But yeah, I showed you this drawing. You're like, I got a job for you. You got to draw the next issue. You got 3 weeks. And so there you go. And now here we are. We're much different now. We're much better. So it has been 2 decades, So I think woke is lost its power. It'll always be there, but we can just tell it to F off now. And It's like your powers are useless here. You call me racist, sexist, homophobe. You're wrong, and everyone's laughing at you. That's why I think we are culturally now. So let's see. Joe King Lee, good, pretty good for a 3-week time frame. Yeah, I'm a million times better now. I'm very happy with the work I do now. So let's see here. So Sherlock Holmes, love him, one of the greatest characters of all time. I've read every book of his. Can you give people the pitch on this? And guys, there's a link. The only link I put in the description today is to go to Baron Comics. There's a link right there and get this Sherlock Holmes Leviathan. Guys, we are sitting at 12,867. Get this book. Get it right now. You won't regret it. You will love this. And it's Christmas time. When does this thing come out, Mike? When can people get it? Like, when will they get it in their hands?
Well, we're probably going to fulfill in January. By the way, I should point out that it's finished, completely finished.
Okay.
Brilliantly done. Greatest work of Richard Bonk's career. It's as if he'd been waiting his whole life to do steampunk. Sherlock Holmes teams up with Captain Nemo to stop a madman from igniting a world war. There are going to be some familiar faces in here. They're going to come as a real surprise, people you will not expect. But more importantly, it's a story that grabs you by the throat on the first page and never lets up.
Right. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Is there a video I can play here?
Yeah.
How long is this?
It's 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna set that up so it has the correct sound. Give me a minute over here.
Alrighty.
Okay, so tell people why, so they should get this obviously because you're an award-winning writer. The Oscar award in comics, guys, is called the Eisner. Mike's a multiple Eisner winner, so you're guaranteed an amazing story. I vouch for Mike. I mean, you know me, I only make quality stuff and I don't work with clowns. So, and Mike's a mentor of mine and a great friend. So I guarantee you this will be amazing. And of course, it has a cover beautifully colored by me. So click that link and get it now, guys. And fulfillment starts in January, you say?
Well, we're going to fulfill in January.
Okay. All right. That's awesome.
We're never late. Sometimes we're early. Anybody who's bought my books knows that. And my friend Chris Brawley, who runs my campaign, is a professional videographer, and that's why our videos are outstanding.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I have to put this in Chrome instead of Safari. Oh, this thing's so finicky sometimes.
Beyond my meager abilities.
Okay, let me back this up and then I will play it. And we're going to watch this video real quick. Okay, is it on the screen?
Wait a minute. Yes.
You can hear it? All right.
When a series of shipping disasters points to a mysterious sea monster, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson leave the comfort of Baker Street and board a freighter where they encounter unexpected betrayal and come face to face with the enigmatic Captain Nemo and his submarine, the Nautilus. As they delve deeper into the case, they uncover a conspiracy involving a Russian Tsar with an airship that rains destruction on unsuspecting cities. With time running out and the world on the brink of war, the heroes must use all their skills and resources to stop a massive conspiracy and prevent global conflict. From Eisner-winning writer Mike Barron and illustrator Richard Bonk, dive into the depths of adventure and unravel the mysteries of the sea with the world's greatest detective in Leviathan. Order now at baroncomics.com.
That looks outstanding, guys. And if you've never read a Sherlock Holmes book, guys, you're missing out. And if you've never read a Mike Barron book, what is wrong with you? So Mike Barron, one of the great writers and a great guy, by the way, and then one of the greatest characters ever, Sherlock Holmes. You cannot go wrong with this. This will be one of the best decisions you've made in a while. And if you voted for Trump on Tuesday and then you buy this book today, you're on a hot streak of great decisions, guys. You are on an absolute hot streak if you make these two decisions this week, That's
quite the endorsement. I love Sherlock so much, I'm already thinking about the next one.
Good. I love Sherlock Holmes. I told you I devoured all.
Yep,
there's
me too.
55 original stories. I devoured all of them. Just so good.
I think he's irresistible to young men of a certain age. And by that, I mean 11 through 20 or 25. Because I was young, I read nothing but science fiction. I devoured all the greats. Asimov, Jules Verne, Clifford Simic, H.G. Wells, Philip Jose Farmer, Robert Heinlein.
My favorites are my favorite author of all time is the great Cormac McCarthy. Those are grim books, but nobody can write thick like him.
I like some of his books. Others, I've never been able to finish Blood Meridian.
That's my favorite book of all time, Blood Meridian.
You mentioned that to me before. I haven't. I may pick it up again, but it is so grim.
It is the grimmest thing ever, but it's just so well written. It's insane. His books feel like they all take place in hell or something. They're just the most grim commentary about violence and men and stuff like that. But I don't know.
That's the seductive narrative voice I mentioned.
Right. Absolutely. Jim Bob. Dudes, I didn't know Mike was going to be here today. This is cool. I got Bronze Star and Nexus Scourge. Both great books. Leviathan looks great too. Yeah, there's more Nexus coming. Can we talk about what you told me before the show, or is that a secret still? About Sergio?
Oh,
don't say
well,
it.
let's just say that I have Sergio Cariello working on a project, but
all right,
it's premature to mention it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
It's like one of those NDAs they give me at the Rippaverse. So we go on these paddles. Everybody has an NDA paddle. You know, hold up. People ask, "Well, what's next? What's the new book?" And you just hold up the NDA paddle. We've all held them.
Right. Right here, I put the link to the Indiegogo, and in the description, there's the link to the Baron Comics that has the links to Fund My Comic, Kickstarter, and Indiegogo. Here's the link itself to the Indiegogo right there in the chat. I'm bringing it up on the screen, guys. Get this thing funded. Get more funding for this. You can't go wrong. Listen, the woke weirdos have ruined so much of the art. We know this. They just DEI, SJW, the girl boss, everything. You know what woke people remind me of, Mike? You're at a party. Everyone likes pepperoni pizza. And the woke weirdo walks in and goes, you shouldn't eat meat. We need to order a tofu vegetarian pizza. So then halfway through the party, you haven't had enough pepperoni. You go back for another slice of pepperoni, and there's only tofu vegetarian left. You look over at your woke friend, and they're sitting there eating pepperoni. We ordered this piece of shit pizza because of you, and you're not even eating it. That's their Star Wars, their female Ghostbusters. They don't like this stuff either. It's about resentment and cruelty. That's what it's about. They hate seeing other people successful and happy. So instead of bettering themselves, they want to ruin what successful, happy people have. You're not going to get that.
I think that's on the way out, Gabe. As we've been seeing, they've been firing these DEI hires right and left. Good.
That's absolutely fun. I've been hearing a lot about it. There's a guy, he's a reporter, a journalist, Chris Rufo on Twitter. And he exposes major corporations, and they shut down their DEI the minute he exposes the hell out of them. The mob seat. How about a Punisher type character called the Baron?
Well, no, I'm not going to name a character after myself, but if you want a Punisher type character, go to baroncomics.com and order the Private American, because that's why I wrote it. I wrote Private American to show Punisher what the character should be. I have a second script written that will make your head explode. I just don't know when we're going to get to it because I have so much in the pipeline right now.
And you're going to be sooner or later working for me. I do want to do like a street level character with you.
I got some ideas for you too.
Yeah, we're going to hook back up, me and Mike. We did so many projects together in the past, but I want to bring him into Big Man Comics too, because we're growing Big Man Comics. We're doing very responsible growth because I'm in a good position. But I think sometimes people get in a good position, then they go, wow, then they throw all the money in the air, and then they have no more money, and they didn't put out quality projects. So I'm picking and choosing very carefully my projects, but I absolutely need to work with you again.
Trying to get bigger.
Yeah. So, and this is Private American here. That's also on Baron Comics. Support that. This thing got canceled by woke assholes at what was the newspaper? Or the website.
The Daily Coast.
The Daily Coast said that he was murdering immigrants on the border.
Actually, Rich Johnston said that. The Daily Coast said, Punisher creator Mike Baron releases another racist AF comic book. Well, you all know I didn't create the Punisher. That was the first lie. The second lie was about racism. The person who wrote that hasn't read anything I've written. She's just an ignorant purple-haired witch.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the book went on, it sold, it came out, people love it, and I colored the cover there too.
That's right.
So me and Mike love the same things. We love crime, we love mystery, we love action adventure. I love Richard Stark's Parker. You know about these books,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got every single one except 2. Addicted to these things. Darwin Cook did the graphic novels like 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
I haven't.
IDW.
In fact, I was just looking at it yesterday.
And he
Steranko did the cover. Um, have you seen Point Blank with Lee Marvin?
love it. Lee
All right.
Marvin, love it. I don't like the modern one with Jason Statham called Parker.
No,
It's no good. It's too
I
slick
like,
and sexy and too. It's too of them. It's too contemporary. It
yeah,
didn't
and
have
not
the
only
Parker
that,
feel.
Jason is. We didn't ask for Parker with a British accent.
I love Jason Statham in other things, but not in Parker with Jennifer Lopez. Ugh.
Right.
Ugh. Jeez. Yeah, but I love the Parker crime novels. And that let me indulge myself here real quick, Mike. That has inspired this.
Right.
Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, Volume 2. Volume 1, great success. The Hong Kong Connection. I've teamed up with Superman himself. Yes, Dean Cain, he's a good friend of mine. And the second one is a heist, like the Parker novels, like Ocean's 11. It's an awesome one, takes place in Hong Kong, because all my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme and all those great movies are in Hong Kong. I thought Hong Kong is a great locale to put an action heist movie where Dean Cain, he plays Chris Tanaka, is the character. Yeah, he has to put a team together and they got to rip off a bad guy. It's pretty awesome. And Empyrean, I just got the final, I got pages 111 through 120 in my email this morning. This is my love letter to Star Wars since woke people ruined Star Wars. This book will be complete very soon. It won't be out until the spring because I'm going to launch this book first. This is like Incredible Hulk, Avengers. This is the Unstoppable Tyrus. Yes, that Tyrus from Fox News. He's a good friend of mine. We've teamed up and created this. I'm drawing this book. My friend Akeon is drawing this, and he's drawing the Dean Cain book. And then I'm going to do like a Goonies, Lost Boys, Kids Adventure, Jericho Green and the Hammerheads. I want to put that at Halloween next year. Don't hold me to that date. I will not rush things. But we're going to be crowdfunding all these, and you're going to get them on time. No 4-year releases here. All my books come out when I say. I don't blow deadlines. I'm a grown man. That's unprofessional. So the only things I have on offer right now, we'll get right back to Sherlock Holmes, is Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, Volume 1. You can get that. And guys, I have a super special thing that's available at bigmancomics.com right now. It's a reprint of Volume 1, which many people already bought in the spring, but it's a limited edition Christmas variant cover. It's going to be that luminescence, that clear plastic reflective cover, and it's only available until November 30th. If you do not order this by November 30th, this goes into the Disney vault. Remember how Disney would put the movies back in the vault and they wouldn't release them on video cassette for like a year or two? This is going back in the vault after the 20th. But it's guaranteed delivery before Christmas if you order by November 30th. It's one less gift you have to worry about, guys. And then I have the regular editions of this. This is at a premium price because it's very limited edition, available for just a few weeks. I have the regular editions, lower price if that's what you can afford. And I have a few of the autographed by Dean Cain myself. So go to Big Man Comics and get that right now. Support us because we're making this awesome stuff for you. And I said guaranteed delivery before Christmas if you order by November 30th. Everything on my website for the USA only. I will not guarantee that for international because that's beyond my control. That's crazy, the international stuff. So thank you all. You're making Big Man Comics a success. And thank Mike because he's a part of my Big Man Comics journey by getting me into comics professionally. So I need you to thank Mike for me by going over to Baron Comics and getting a hold of Sherlock Holmes Leviathan. What do you think of all that, Mike?
Well, I could say I'm speechless, but that seldom happens.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for bringing me in. Yeah. I was doing a little bit of comic book stuff before you got me on the detonator. I would hang out on the Image Comics message boards and talk to pros and say, hey, can I draw a pinup for your comic? And Eric Larson, Phil Hester, Rick Remender, a few guys let me do pinups. And that was like my first Image Comics work. And then I started doing the detonator with you. We did the Hook. Remember the Hook?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was very kind of Eric.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. So sell me on Sherlock Holmes. Tell me more about it. I'm excited, man. How long is it? How long is it? Is it hardcover, soft cover? Tell us about that.
Well, it's going to be soft cover and hardcover. It's 68 pages of story. And the reason we do that is we sell them after we've fulfilled, we get a regular comic book company to publish it as a comic in comic shops. Just as Nexus Scourge is going into shops next month from
Cool.
Alien Comics. The one thing about this Sherlock Holmes story is you're going to read it, and I nailed the characterization. You're going to love the characterization. I use dialogue to characterize, but the dialogue has to be fresh. And so for anybody who wants to write for a living, I would advise you to carry a pen and a pad with you at all times, not your phone, not a computer. And when you hear something that might be useful, be it a name or a fact or a historical incident, you write it down.
Right.
When I was done and I turned it in, Chris said, but where's the mystery that he solves? Because what we see here is a lot of ingenuity and scrambling to overcome a madman, but there's no traditional Sherlock Holmes mystery. So I went back and I found one and I put it in, and it doesn't get solved until the end of the book. And when you read it, you're going to laugh out loud.
That's awesome. Yeah. Writing is such a fun thing to do because, you know, you do your plot and you do kind of more detailed breakdown. And then when you start that final script, it just keeps evolving. And I do Marvel method. We were talking before the show. I don't write panel descriptions. When I write a page for the guy, for Acheon, the guy drawing Empyrean, and he's also drawing Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, I don't say panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. This guy's been an animator at Disney. He worked at Marvel and DC. He's got a 30-something year career. He's 15 years older than me. I'm not going to tell him what panels to choose. And he improves the story and blows my mind. But what I find, Mike, is plot, breakdown, full script, and then the inks come back to me. I'm like, oh, wow. And I never write dialogue until the book is done. Pencil, ink, color. And then I open the pages in Adobe Illustrator and I look at them and I go, okay, he's saying this and she's saying that. And I use the acting that the illustrator used to make the final bit of dialogue. And I enhance the story when I see it's such a fun way to write. So I'm the letterer for my
works because I've read your stuff and your comics are outstanding. My method is different. I feel very strongly about giving the dialogue up front. Because I want the artist to match the actor to the dialogue.
Right.
However, every time I go through anything I write, anything, I find a way to improve it by taking words out.
Right. Right. What did Mark Twain said something about every time you find an adjective, like get rid of it or kill it or something like that. And
he's one of many. Stephen King wrote a book called On Writing, and one of the memorable things he states in there is, adjectives are not your friend. And he's right. Adjectives usually just clutter up the description and get in the way with its impact. If you use the right verb and the right descriptions, you don't need adjectives.
Right. Shakespeare, the bard himself, I say this to everyone about everything, but it really helps with writing. Brevity is the soul of wit. What Shakespeare did not say is, hey, try not to use too many words because it gets confusing. Your meaning could get cluttered. And it would be really helpful to use as few words as possible to be succinct, to keep the idea pure. So that way the reader understands it. He didn't say that, which is the same idea, but you see how cluttered that is. Brevity is the soul of wit. 6 words. Keep it simple. William Bernhardt, New York Times bestselling author. He writes a lot of detective fiction. He has these amazing books, about 15 of them, called The Red Sneaker Writers. And there's a book on dialogue. There's a book on plot. There's a book on character. There's a book on story structure. And I listen to them over and over and over as audiobooks when I'm drawing or coloring. And he's a great guy. He'll answer your personal emails. He does writers retreats, like twice a year. You can go, like, pay money to go stay at a retreat with him and many other writers. His books are the best books I've ever found on writing. And when he was talking about being succinct, a great example he gave was, you don't say the blood slowly dripped. You say the blood oozed.
That's right. Excellent.
You know, that's how you say it in as few clear words as possible. And when you draw as clearly and simply as possible. Doug TenNapel, the great Doug TenNapel, creator of Earthworm Jim, Bigfoot Bill. I worked with him, love the guy. He's an awesome guy. He was talking to me about putting too many details in the color that I did for some Bigfoot Bill thing. And he said the same thing Shakespeare said, but apply it to visual art. He said, let the big shape win. And I was like, oh, yes. This is Jack Kirby. This is Picasso. This is every great illustrator. Let the big shape win. Don't go in there and every eyelash and every nut and every bolt. it turns into wallpaper. Let the big shape win in writing. Let the big shape win in visual art. Let the big shape win in your life. That's how you think critically. Recognize the patterns you're seeing, you know? So I'm excited about this project, Mike. I'm excited people are going to get it soon. They won't have a decade. So they'll get it. They'll get it. Well, no, it's going to be 2 different presidents. They'll order it under Biden, but they'll get it under Trump.
That's right. And we're trying to get the new president, to sign these issues. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that in time, but we reached out.
Cassie Suba, one of the great fans, I see her on Wednesday nights when I'm here doing Double Impact with Jericho Green. She says, I met you at SpaceCon. That must have been a few weeks back. We talked for a while when I showed you my book.
I remember Cassie.
Yeah. So, and you're having a fun time at the Rippaverse. You did Gooding, the polymath, and you may or may not be doing more stuff for Eric July. There's NDAs everywhere, so who knows?
Well, I can assure you that I am doing more stuff for Eric July. I just can't tell you what it is.
Well, you told me, but I'm one person, and that's fine to tell a friend. I told nobody, and I love it. I love what you told me. It's hilarious. It's awesome. It's exciting. So, it's going to be, it sounds like it's going to be great. So, well, what else, Mike? What else did you want to let people know? We covered a lot of stuff.
Well, I really didn't touch on my comic career that much, but it was because of Nexus and the Badger that Marvel contacted me. Carl Potts, in particular, had been reading the Badger, and he asked me to write the Punisher. And I loved that assignment. I did it for 5 years. My approach was very simple. Punisher was a straight crime comic. And for the first 3 years, there's no science fiction, time travel, aliens, or flying saucers.
Right.
Then Carl got kicked upstairs, and I got a new editor who was kind of a gimmick guy. So I incorporated some of the more ultra Marvel characters into the storyline. I did use Kingpin and Daredevil because they're street level heroes. They're credible. Kingpin doesn't have any superpowers except amazing size and strength, and they seem like natural opponents. And Doc Doom as well. But those are the only 3 notable characters that I had as villains in Punisher. For the most part, he dealt with crooked bankers, drug smugglers, psycho gangs, crazy preachers, things that we're familiar with. I have always ripped stories out of the headlines. And I'm doing it now. I was contacted a couple months ago by a best-selling author named Blaine Pardo. I don't know how Blaine got a hold of me. He said, but Mike, we should write a novel together. And I said, okay. And so he came up with this premise about a history professor in Portland who refuses to use the student's preferred pronoun, and how it destroys his life until there's nothing left. His wife is killed by Antifa. The cops kill his daughter on a botched SWAT raid. And finally, when he has nothing left, he decides he's got nothing to lose. And there's nothing more dangerous than a man who's got nothing to lose. It's called Tenure. It's up on Amazon right now. We're getting rave advanced reviews. The people love it. The cut line is cancel culture is canceled. And we're more than halfway through the second novel now.
All right.
I'm also writing my 11th biker novel. I wish I could churn them out faster than I do, but Blaine is forcing me to write faster than I ever have. And that's good. I have written another novel I don't want to discuss right now. I just want to say it's a thermonuclear bomb waiting to go off. And when you hear about it, you're going to understand why. I sent it to a couple of friends of mine, Andrew Clavin and Christian Toto. And both of them said the same thing. Mike, no regular publisher is going to touch this. It's too sensitive. But if you publish it yourself, it's going to be a big hit. And so that's what we're planning to do. I am talking to Eric about it. I think he might go for it. And the reasons, of course, is the subject matter. I don't want to go into the subject matter right now, but talking about being ripped from today's headlines, you're going to know what I mean.
That sounds awesome, man. Yeah, Mike, Mike's busier than he's ever been.
I know, it's a funny thing.
In his old age. It's awesome.
In my
I was going down memory lane. We did so many things. We did the Gene Simmons comic together.
I remember.
It was called Acid Rock. Let me see. I can open it here. This is almost 20-year-old work of mine, guys. I illustrated, I penciled this, and Nick Runge inked it, and then I colored it. and it was for a Gene Simmons horror anthology. So I think the drawings are okay, but again, it's almost 20 years old that I drew this. I'm much better now, but I wasn't too bad back then. I was all right, So yeah, I remember this. That was old. I remember this, right? Not that yet. This 2007. It was a cover I did with Nick Runge for Badger when IDW did it. And I would always go to Comic-Con dreaming of getting picked up by Marvel or DC. And I went out there. I drove from Colorado to San Diego in 2007 with Nick. We stayed with a friend of mine here at his apartment. And we were walking through the convention hall, and Marvel and DC have these giant 20, 30-foot long banners with Batman and Superman art on them. And I was looking at them, and I was like, I told Nick, we were walking there, I said, one day our art is going to be up on those banners. We turned the corner. This banner is on IDW's booth, like 15 feet tall or whatever. I'm like, oh, I guess one day's today. So our art, they didn't even tell us they were using it that year, IDW. So, and I don't know if you remember this, Mike, but for I think it was your 50th birthday.
Oh yeah, of course I have that.
Me and Nick, we drew this. We each drew a few characters of all your favorite characters, all your famous characters, the Nightclub, Detonator, Flash, Badger, Nexus, Punisher, Deadman, and then the boy and the girl from the educational comic that Nick drew. What the hell was that called?
New Kid.
The New Kid. Yeah, they're in the background. And then I colored it up, and I had it printed and framed, and yeah, I got you this for your 50th birthday party that we had at your house.
I remember. Pete says hi.
Pete Brandvold?
Yeah.
One of the great guys. Love Pete. That Lou Prophet is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Pete's a guy that publishes 6 novels a year at least.
Prolific.
He's the fastest writer I know. And the reason is he lives in the country. He loves to write.
Where's he living now? Because he was in like Minnesota and he was in Dakota.
He's in Minnesota now.
Okay.
And he writes 3,000 words by noon, come hell or high water, every day of the year, except when he's traveling.
Yeah, I love The Devil and Lou Prophet, and so many of the Lou Prophet books just really captured my imagination. Peter Brandvold is an amazing Western author, you guys.
Probably the most popular Western writer working today.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. It was in this time, 2004, 5, 6, 7. I lived in Colorado, 45 minutes from Mike, and every Thursday, I'd drive from Greeley to Fort Collins. Those are the two cities. I lived in Greeley. And I'd drive to Fort Collins, and I'd have lunch with Nick and Peter, Nick Runge, the guy that illustrated that stuff with me, Peter Brandvold, the Western writer, and Mike. We'd get comics, we'd have lunch at Mike's, and then we'd go home. And it was one of my favorite things to do every Thursday for a few years there. It
was a great time. Those
were great times, and I miss it. But, it was all part of the journey to where we are now. So, yeah, I've been talking to you for a few years about having you working with you again. And now that Big Man Comics is in the position it's in, I definitely want to start talking to you.
Well, you already got my brain percolating.
Yeah, I would love something. I have 2 rules at my company. There's no sex. There's no gore. We don't take the Lord's name in vain and mock Christianity. Otherwise...
Oh, you mean in the stories?
In the stories. That, like, in your personal life, I'm not controlling it. In what I publish, I'm not taking the Lord's name in vain. I'm not putting sex. I'm not putting absolute gore. Bad guys can get shot and die, but it's like Indiana Jones violence or Star Wars violence. And they fall over. We're not putting brains on walls. Because my books are like this. Either. My books are like this. Thrilling for 70-year-olds, or inspiring for 7-year-olds, thrilling for 70-year-olds. Anyone can read my books. They're not baby books for little kids. Adults will love them. They are for adults, but they're safe to hand to kids, my books. Just like Star Wars is for grown-ups, but it's totally safe for kids to watch. The old Star Wars, not the new woke lesbian space witches, not that shit.
Yeah, my wife Ann complained that she couldn't read anything I wrote because it was all too violent. So I wrote a novel just for her called Disco, about a boy who adopts a mongrel pup and trains it to be world disc dog champion.
I remember you gave me the script outline for that, and it was like written like a movie, and it was a really playful, romantic, fun thing with the dog that was the Frisbee champion or whatever. I remember you sent me that.
That book is now homeless. I have all the rights. I'm looking for somebody to publish it. I may talk to Eric about that.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, you need to pick up Sherlock Holmes. I'm telling you, you want to make 2 good decisions this week? Number 1 was voting Trump. Number 2 is buying this. Go to Baron Comics. It's baroncomics.com, right?
That's right.
baroncomics.com. Order, and then there's links right here. You see the 3 on the side. Indiegogo, Fund My Comic, Kickstarter. Pick it up there. You'll get it in January, and you're going to love it. It's one of the best writers our industry has ever had, if I may say so. And then one of the greatest characters of all time in the public domain, the great Sherlock. Let's see. What are the tiers for Sherlock? Well, let's look at this on Indiegogo. Hold on. I'll tell you. We have hold on. We'll go here. We have a digital version for $10. Can't beat that. And this is 68 pages, right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. We have a soft cover, the A cover with my colors and Richard Bonk's beautiful illustration. 25. I love the logo too. Whoever did the graphic design on the logo did a great job.
Here, credit goes to Chris.
Soft cover B, also $25. Autographed hardcover for $50. You're gonna get Mike Barron's autograph. Come on, guys. Comic books for troops. That is what is that there? You buy one and they match one for the soldiers. Is that what that is?
They make a donation.
Okay, they make a donation. Retailer bundle, that looks like what? How many is in that? 4 or 5 or let's see.
It's 4.
4 copies of Sherlock Holmes. There's the grand rewards. That looks like you're getting the digital cover A, cover B, and the auto. Guys, that's a deal because you're getting the 2 regular price $25 books, and you're getting the $50 one and the digital, and you're getting that for just $85. That's a deal, actually. And there's a CGC graded. That's going to be graded and then slabbed in the protective thing. That's a good one, too. And then original art pages. Original ink pages. These are paper, the real sheets the book is drawn on. $500 a page. That's a steal, guys, for original art. And you could be put into the story for $1,000. But I think, is the story complete?
Oh, yeah.
So then that probably isn't going to be anymore, right? This perk?
Well, I mean, there's going to be another Sherlock Holmes book down the line.
Okay.
But this story is complete in and of itself. Vinziger wanted to know if I'd like to appear on the Latino slant. I certainly would. I tried to put my Twitter handle in there, but it won't let me publish anything with a domain name. So Vinziger, I'm on Twitter as @BloodyRedBaron.
Right. Right. Let me grab. I'll grab it off my Twitter. Maybe it'll let me do it since I'm the one running the show here. Hold on.
Yeah, guys,
I'm gonna copy your screen name. See if that works. Okay, @BloodyRedBaron. I'll throw that in the chat right now. There it is.
Great.
That's him on Twitter, BloodyRedBaron. Yeah, thank you for being here, Mike. Is there anything else you want to get to?
No, Gabe, except I'm thrilled with your success.
Thank you.
And we're doing great things. And,
yeah.
We're relieved that the country is finally passed out of a period of insanity that threatened to destroy us all. And it's okay to look forward to the future with optimism now.
Right. We don't have to fear the cancellation. I wear this hat around town now. Now I am 6'4". Nobody tells me anything except, hey, I love your hat. Once in a while I'll get that from a guy.
Right.
But I do see some grumpy looking women sometimes, like,
It's like, what color is their hair?
I do like that the mask has come off about the racism of the left, because they group you all into a group when you're not white, or even if you are, they group everyone in groups, which is bigoted and racist. I saw someone on Twitter say, I can't believe Mexicans voted to deport themselves. Well, and I told the guy, we can't vote unless we're legal citizens, right? And if we're legal citizens, we won't get deported. Why would you think Mexican people that are here legally would want an open border? Who the hell would want that?
Well, beyond that, no organism, neither a single cell nor nation can survive if it doesn't control its borders. Even a child understands this.
Well, it's like this. If you were at the park and there were 20 people that needed a ride home and you had a Honda Civic, you could not put them all in your car. Does that mean you hate them all? No, it's just called math, guys. If we let everyone in here, we will run out of money, and this will just become Mexico North and be a broke country of poverty. It's not about hating people. It's simply mathematics. You can't let everyone in here and have all kinds of free stuff, So, my dad is an immigrant. He came here in the 70s. Now, on my mom's side, we were in the Colorado territories before it was America, so we're original Americans. You know what I mean? Like
That's right.
Mr. Duran. my great whatever grandfather, Mr. Duran, he was in the Colorado, Texas territories in the 1700s. So on the one side, I'm an OG American, older than most white people. And on the other side, I'm only been here from the 70s. So it's quite the dichotomy for me personally.
In other words, you're a typical American.
Right. And Mobsy puts it very well. If you're here legally, you're not Mexican, you're American. Damn right.
It's true.
And I'm not even that Mexican because my mom is Mexican, Basque, Spanish, Syrian, Jew. Like really, I found out I was Jewish like 2 years ago, Mike.
Well, you're an honorary Jew.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, my grandma's dad was a Syrian Jew. I didn't know that. And he lived in Mexico, you know? So yeah, I did not know that.
That's diverse.
So yeah, and then my dad is Mediterranean, right? He's Libyan, but his mom is from Turkey. My dad has green eyes and white skin, so he looks like a Roman sculpture. So I mean, if you're Mediterranean, how many thousands of years were they just sailing around? And you know what sailors do when they land in port, right? So if you're Mediterranean, you're completely mixed. And Basque, that's the mountain range between France and Spain. So there's blood mixed there. So someone like me, all this racial stuff, it's nonsense. Like, dude, there's no such thing. We're just people.
Well, I think there was no racism until the election of the precious sun god, and then he ginned it all up. His days.
That's got to be one of the most disappointing things in the world is Obama. Because we all, Republican or Democrat, we all thought, maybe it's a good thing when he got elected. You know, we'll see. Maybe people will stop talking about race and all that. Some of us thought that. And then it went horribly. So, yeah, it was let's see, Casey Suba. She's a Hispanic woman, yet called racist by a random white boy. Yeah. Yeah, I found if I don't get in line for the white liberal savior, then I am now a white supremacist. You know, me and Eric, I remember at Comic-Con when I invited Eric July to come to San Diego 2 years ago. He was at my booth autographing, and people were complaining, and they were saying we were white supremacists. me, Arab Mexican guy, and then Jericho Green, a friend of mine, black guy. Eric July, very dark-skinned black guy, and then Dean Cain, who's Japanese and white. And the four of us were posing for a picture. I'm like, we are the worst white supremacists of all time. We got one guy that's like 3/4 white. That's it between the four of us. Oh my gosh. So Mike, you are Spanish Jew, right? You're the Sephardic Jew?
Some Spanish, some Russian.
Right. Because Baron, those are Spanish Jews, the Sephardic.
It's true. Yep.
Yeah, that's Mike Baron. So, and then on the other side, it's the Russian Jew. So
right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. I love it. The link is in the description, baroncomics.com, and we're going to get out of here. Any last words before we go, Mr. Mike?
Always carry a pen and a pad.
All right. You heard it, guys. Carry a pen and a pad. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gabe.